dropped so many balls, man.
I mean, probably just 2.
I know how to vacuum Mom and Dad's summer. I've been doing it for 6 months.
But why would you need to vacuum anything if time is frozen? Isn't everything frozen in time? If the molecules of the clothing are frozen, how do you even move them?
Questioning the time freezing technology in a show where an old man has a literal portal gun and fucks planets.
You have dropped so many balls, man.
I mean, probably just 2. Although with the radiation Rick has probably exposed Morty to with all the dimension hopping, could be more, I suppose.
Discount Jeremy takes things too literally cliche.
Put a shirt on your dumb dad, and let's get this dumb universe rolling.
But how did Morty get Jerry's arms through the sleeves? Sleeves just don't magically form around the arms when you throw a shirt on.
It's a cartoon, you fucking dumbass. It's not supposed to be realistic.
I'm just gonna put it on the floor and kick it on over to you.
Or you could toss Jerry the money so it doesn't look quite as awkward. I know Jerry is supposed to be dumb, but Beth isn't, and she's a doctor. There's no way she's not checking foreheads for temps or at the very least asking questions about this odd behavior.
I mean, Rick, Morty, and Summer are all super weird people already, so either she just assumed that it was something normal for them, or she just doesn't care.
A convenient machine that can let you know if there's been a split in time on the off chance you freeze time long enough for this to be a possibility is convenient.
Simply calling things convenient doesn't actually make those things sins, or even conveniences, seeing as Rick obviously created this machine for its very purpose.
We have to tell the cops you were driving.
Why would you have to tell the cops anything? Or even call the cops? Do you call the cops when you run over a skunk or a squirrel? I believe the saying goes, if the car will still steer, you're in the clear.
Discount Jeremy just said that if you hit a large animal with your car, for example a deer, you should just leave it and not bother doing anything about it. And that's a real dick move.
And we've got about 4 hours to be is.
What a very specific time frame you just happen to know for convenient tension building purposes.
Stop calling things convenient for no reason. That word has a meaning. I mean, I wouldn't care if you did your arbitrary timeline sin, but instead you just randomly called it a convenience.
I shot it before these two hit it with their car, and I followed them when they hauled it off.
And how exactly were you able to follow them? Were you hunting from your car? Look, the sin is either convenient vehicle location or car hunting.
Okay, I wouldn't expect Discount Jeremy to understand this, seeing as it's something you would have to infer, but it obviously took Beth and Jerry a decent chunk of time to get the deer in their car, which gave the hunter enough time to get back to his car, and from there, it would actually be easier than you would think to find and follow Beth and Jerry.
All right, everything resolved? Everybody nice and certain about their position in my world?
Yes.
I'm not sure I understand why Morty is so let down here. Just a couple episodes ago, he discovered that Mortys are a figurative shield for all Ricks. I'm not saying he should be happy that Rick looks down on him, but he shouldn't be surprised by it.
What the actual fuck is this sin? You started off by saying that Morty looks let down, but then switched your premise to sinning Morty for being surprised. He's not surprised, he's let down. And those two emotions don't necessarily go hand in hand.
I will reach into heaven and yank your screaming deer soul back!
The deer survives this.
Because it's a cartoon? Do you get it yet?
What are you doing? Calling myself.
If leaving your other selves a voicemail was an option this entire time, isn't that a pretty easy immediate check before going full interdimensional shooting gallery?
I mean, part of Rick's character is his mental instability, so the fact that he immediately assumes the other Ricks, who are also mentally unstable, would be trying to kill him actually kind of makes sense, especially since this is cartoon logic.
How long exactly do we have to wear these things? They're really embarrassing.
Oh, I see Rick is an anti-masker.
Comedy.
You know what they do to third-dimensional life forms in time prison? Same thing they do in every other prison, only forever.
So, 3 hots and a cot? Medical care? Tobacco-based currency? Oh, you're making a prison rape joke, aren't you?
Discount Jeremy is a massive SJW snowflake cliche.
Come on, let's help Grandpa!
Yes! I'm 100% not sure about anything!
The war with Grandpa.
Discount Jeremy makes a pop culture reference that isn't a sin of the episode cliche.
There is no helicopter. And there is no Servine Institute.
Clever ploy and all, but how did Jerry get all the emblems made so quickly to pull this off? And where did the uniforms the Cold Stone Creamery workers are wearing come from?
They come from the fact that this is a cartoon, you dipshit. No, seriously, how do you not understand the fact that cartoons are not supposed to be logical?
I'm dead!
Well, I guess they can touch Jerry and Beth now without any consequences, but how would they know that? Rick didn't let them know how long they would have to wait when they unfroze everything.
They're wearing the collars, which keeps them in their own singular timeline, so touching their parents with them on wouldn't fuck anything up. Also, Assuming that Morty would even have the foresight to refrain from hugging his parents if the collars didn't work like this is a big overestimate of his intelligence.
Get out of the vehicle made of garbage, or we will open fire! Open fire!
We got some business to attend to a few light minutes south of here.
Oh, you still use south in space?
Whoa! Jesus, Jerry, what the hell are you doing here?
Being excellent at TVSins, for one thing.
So he's sitting the whole South in space joke, but the problem with that is that it's a joke.
Also, I'm done with shows pretending like people have zero spatial awareness. Even if you don't have the hypervigilance gene where you're always checking your surroundings, one of your five senses is going to clue you into the fact that someone's sitting just outside your peripheral vision.
Do you see why I sometimes sin him for taking things too literally? This is a cartoon. It's not supposed to follow real-world logic.
You can park in a handicapped spot, Morty. Anything with less than 8 limbs is considered disabled here.
Of course, no one knows where to park because they apparently don't even mark the spaces.
Discount Jeremy thinks that just because he doesn't see any handicapped spaces means that there aren't any at all. He's like a little kid.
Also, not having some sort of hover vehicle parking is just inefficient planning. There should be roof parking with boxed areas for vertical takeoff vehicles that don't need all the extra space to drive around.
Again, this is a cartoon. Nothing matters, so stop sending shit like this.
Also, looks like you've got Glizcut over here and then Puiza 2 doors down. And that's more poor strip mall planning, to have 2 pizza places that close to each other?
Not only is this entire sin completely inconsequential, but apparently Discount Jeremy has never seen the real world. I mean, seriously, there are literally 3 Dunkin' Donuts within easy walking distance of my job. It's stupid, but that's the way it is.
Works. Help me! What the hell?
I know, right? Even though we know there are multiple versions of all our characters, I'm counting at least 25 Jerrys in here. Is the show suggesting that a couple dozen Ricks need to ditch Jerrys at the same time when we know most Ricks aren't going to want Jerry around in the first place?
This sin is kinda confusing because of its utter stupidity. He acknowledged that there are multiple versions of the family, but is still somehow failing to comprehend the fact that there are literally infinite versions of Rick that might want to leave their Jerrys here. Infinity is a pretty big number, dude.
Including a period in your hashtag.
Pointing things out on the screen.
Also, when your vocation is life extermination, I'm guessing you're going to just go ahead and leave the geo-tracker feature off of the business card for exactly the reasons the show later confirms.
See, if this were a show that was meant to be taken seriously, I'd agree with you and remove a sin. But since this is Rick and Morty, shut the fuck up and eat your popcorn.
Yeah, sure. I mean, if you spend all day shuffling words around, you can make anything sound bad.
My theory for when I'm trying to force a sin on a show that probably isn't really a sin, but damn, the joke would be so funny and meta, somehow makes it into this episode.
What are you talking about? Your jokes are almost never funny or meta.
Hey, you sold a gun to a guy that kills people!
Yelling this in a public place.
Pointing things out on the screen. Also, are you seriously sitting the show for Morty being an idiot? That's literally his one character trait. Well, that and his love of masturbation, but you get the point.
Yeah, that's the difference between you and me, Morty. I never go back to the carpet store.
Alright, since Rick is taking a turn now, we have to talk more about this game, because how can he have awareness of both the world around him and the living simulation if it's fully encompassing?
Because he's Rick? If there's one thing this show should have nailed home by now, it's that Rick can do anything.
Also, is this game only for humans? The character is human, and that helmet wouldn't fit 90% of the other clients at this Discount Dave & Buster's. There's no way that this would be profitable.
You're yet again trying to find logic in an episode of a show where a teenage boy saves a space fart who wants to destroy their reality. Stop doing that.
And finally, if the game simulates a 55-year life, how is it also showing the player's decisions in real time on the screen? Wouldn't that mean it would take 55 actual years to play?
I'm going to refer you to the previous sin.
Who wants to come watch Midnight Run with director's commentary on?
Martin Brest has never recorded a commentary for Midnight Run. That's a sin for the show getting its facts wrong, a sin for the Collector's Edition Blu-ray for not making it happen, and a sin for the universe getting me all horned up for something that doesn't even exist in my world.
I was almost going to let this sin slide because he was actually correct for once, but he admitted that the show got him horned up, so Discount Jeremy has a boner.
A Michael must either have precognition or the ability to see through solid objects, neither of which is mentioned or explained. So
he's literally asking for the show to sit down and explain how this master assassin with super advanced technology is so good at what he does, and that's stupid for very obvious reasons.
How is this big guy unaware that a hole was cut in the floor right beside him and his coworker was taken out? Does peripheral vision not even exist for these creatures with 72.4% of their head being eyes?
It's a cartoon.
Oh man, what have I done?
Crashed into a heavily guarded fortress that apparently didn't have a single bit of exterior spacecraft deterrent, I guess.
We never actually see the exterior of the building though, and seeing as Rick made this car super advanced, it's entirely possible that there were defense systems, but the car simply got past them.
Portal transport that somehow knows exactly where to bisect this chesticle mantis threat for reasons. Ex machina.
First of all, please stop sending Rick for being a genius. That's literally his character, meaning that it's perfectly fitting for him to know to do this. And second, Discount Jeremy still doesn't know what the term Deus Ex Machina means.
Can't get him out of here. He's gaseous. He's not gonna make it through a portal, Morty.
Oh, sure. Now the portal has rules.
Why is this a sin? This specific rule has never been important before, so they're not breaking any rules, simply introducing a new one.
Open fire!
Oh, I see my mistake now. I did some fake research, and apparently the company that makes the portal gun is literally titled Ex Machina Inc.
Yet another misuse of the term Deus Ex Machina.
Rick! Yeah.
These guards apparently attended the Promethean Nebula school of just standing around and not shooting your guns even though you're about to die.
Or maybe their reaction time wasn't good enough to run into the room, take stock of the situation, and then aim and fire at the already leaving car?
It's how things should be. It's how they could be.
I could not agree more.
This psychedelic Unity musical number that is like the Doctor Strange's Open Your Eyes scene, but less about the astral projection and more about butts, goes on for some time.
So does every single Sins video.
We now interrupt this masturbatory reference to a different episode with some news position. News position. A TV crutch so useful even Rick and Morty can't help but do it.
And that should tip you off that exposition is actually a necessary part of storytelling and is therefore not always a sin.
Sorry, Rick. The reward on your head is too high.
Higher than access to a creature that gold? Seems like he could have dished out some Raisin Bran, gotten a few bars out of the deal, and let Rick and Morty be on their way.
He could have, but he simply chose the option that seemed more reasonable to him. So I'm failing to see why this is a sin.
Your troopers are apparently this world's version of stormtroopers. Put these guys on a milk carton, because they've been missing this whole time.
Just how easy do you think it is to hit a fast-moving target in midair? I'd like to see you try.
I can't figure out where the main pot starts and where the Jerry pots begin. But if those 3 coins in front of our Jerry is all he has left, then he shouldn't fold. Even with ace high, these pot odds are way too good to not play. And I don't expect Jerry to know that, but I just can't let that kind of bad poker go unsinned.
So he admitted that Jerry is an idiot who wouldn't realistically know how to play well, but he still sinned this? That's stupid.
I'm now way more curious about how gear people's sex works than I'm comfortable with. I've been grinding my gears trying to figure it out.
Unfunny gear grinding joke is unfunny.
I'm gonna find some fuel and take a big fat Morty. That's my new word for because of today's events.
Explaining your jokes, which is hilarious because we also do it, which also makes it meta. And honestly, the more we explain it, the more meta it gets. Get it?
Nope.
Telepathic being that Rube Goldberg, the destruction of an entire police force to escape, somehow didn't see this coming.
The implication is that the fart has to actively focus its telepathy in order to sense someone's thoughts. So if he wasn't currently focusing on Morty's thoughts, he didn't know Morty was going to kill him.
Why would all the Ricks and Mortys be picking up their Jerrys at the exact same time? And so help me if it's just so we can set up a hilarious taking home the wrong Jerry joke. I'm gonna laugh my ass off, but also still add the sin.
Just because we see a bunch of Ricks taking home their Jerrys doesn't mean that all of them are. In fact, because of an earlier scene with the abandoned Jerrys, we know for a fact that not all the Jerrys are being taken home right now.
You know what really grinds my gears? You, America. Fuck you!
Yeah, my name is Ron Bentz. I'm an electrical engineer, father of 2, and as you can see from my flat concentric nipple rings, I'm a member of this planet's top race!
Jefferson, I'm a landscaper, and I'll be damned if that ripple-nipple bitch's race is superior! The co-nipple people will rule this world!
Shut your mouth, you dirty knife nipple bastard!
What'd you say to me, you target chest piece of shit? Race war!
Stress begin!
Oh yeah, baby!
You're excited about that?
I'm confused as to how, at this point, Morty is surprised by anything that Rick says or does.
Except Morty's character is largely based around him being a clueless idiot. So if you really don't think he'd be surprised by shit that Rick does, you're an idiot.
The first rule of space travel, kids, is always check out distress beacons.
Oof, Rick is using an outdated space travel rulebook. The most important rule of space travel is to wear your seatbelt.
Unfunny joke is unfunny.
Seems like something terrible happened here.
Really? Where'd you get that idea, Summer? Was it the ship in disarray? No signs of life? Or maybe the f***ing distress beacon that brought you here? Summer makes worse observations than Forrest Whitaker and Species.
That's pretty hypocritical coming from a guy who just randomly points things out on the screen for a living.
Oh yeah, if you find a room full of eggs, don't shy away from it. Give one of them a shake.
So does this mean that xenomorphs exist in this universe? Which would also mean the regular space exploration is something that exists on Earth, and Rick shouldn't be getting away with as much as he does. Also, does no one find it weird that when they watch Ghostbusters or Gorillas in the Mist, that the lead actress looks straight up like Ellen Ripley?
Yeah, none of what you just said was true or sin in any way. It was just an annoying waste of our time. Also, Discount Jeremy makes a pop culture reference that isn't in the episode cliche.
Oh, hey, you're alive! Thank God!
False optimism.
Usually I let sins like this slide because, while they are annoying, they're not the worst sins in the world, but this one's kind of stupid, seeing as he said optimism. Do you actually know what that word means? Because this is more an example of false relief than false optimism.
Then how do you know it didn't get on the ship with you? Those two ding-dongs seem pretty calm about the whole thing.
Which poses the question, why did they wait till now to attack the rest of the crew? Even if Unity was hoping someone would show up from the distress signal they could also take over, that still doesn't explain why these two didn't attack after the beacon was transmitted.
This is a cartoon that's meant to be funny and not logical. These two waiting to attack until Rick got there was meant to give us his perspective of the situation. In other words, Discount Jeremy fails to understand things that are done for the sake of the audience.
Why Screech make the attack incredibly obvious? There's gotta be a better way for a brilliant entity to expertly and covertly convert everyone into, well, everyone.
Pointless nitpicking is pointless.
Trying to find our weed whacker.
Jerry's dumb. You know that. I know that. But I can't help but say that he's looking for a long-on tool on a shelf where no one would ever store a weed whacker.
So you admit that he's ridiculously stupid, but then sin his character for doing something stupid? That's very stupid.
Your father put a hatch in my garage!
Which means now you have even more storage space under the garage, and probably added $10,000 to $20,000 to the value of the house. Jerry never sees the glass half full.
Unfunny joke is unfunny.
This is season 2, and they still haven't managed to move this plug down here to one of the obvious 3 open ports? I hate you all.
The fuck is the sin here? Oh no, a cartoon shows a plug in a place that I didn't want it to be. That's a mistake.
When we met, I was a young hive mind.
People who talk to you while walking away.
Pointing things out on the screen.
Mount Rushmoring this quickly. Show really puts the rush into Rushmore, huh?
And the point of that sin was... Oh, you thought that joke about putting the rush into Rushmore was funny. Well, that's embarrassing.
Well, this explains the $6,000 electric bill.
Wait, what was the previous explanation? That sounds far more exciting than this Jerry Beth bickering bee story.
No, it doesn't. Are you tripping?
This woman was a drug addict on the verge of suicide. Now she's a marine biologist.
Which isn't impressive when you consider that everyone on the planet is also a marine biologist, thanks to the hive mind.
Yes, you're correct. But that's not a mistake that the showrunners made. It's simply an aspect of the plot that a character within the episode is failing to understand because it goes against her principles. What don't you get about this?
Are they all the same organism? Is the mind telling them to puke? Unity can read their minds, improve them with education, link everyone together, and relieve her drug binge through individuals? How does this even work?
It doesn't matter how it works because this is a cartoon. It's not meant to be taken seriously or to be examined. You're supposed to roll a joint, smoke the joint, and then vibe to Rick and Morty without thinking. In other words, stop thinking about it.
Can I go?
Can you also teleport people? Because in exactly 4 seconds, the city is destroyed and all the people are somehow way over here. Rick can hear this from far away inside a building and with loud techno music playing.
Please refer to the previous sin.
Hey, these two freaks have no rings!
Speaking of freaks, what's going on with this crowd of totally still people back here? Are they Unity controlled, just standing by, all hands on hips, angry looking? Are they writers, frozen in terror? Or is this lazy animation?
It could be either of the two other options you mentioned and is therefore not an actual sin. Thank you for disproving your own point. It's kind of like arguing with a flat earther.
You want to go upstairs and cut carrots and watch a Lifetime original about a alien dungeon?
Surprisingly, Mommy May I Please Have an Alien Dungeon proved to be a very uplifting piece of filmmaking, especially for a Lifetime movie.
Unfunny joke is unfunny.
I once saw him briefly forget the word for humans.
This sets up a joke later in the episode, but it's really not that big of a deal to forget a word every now and again. Our minds calculate thousands of decisions a day, so what if we forget a word? Like right now, I'm having trouble remembering the word for that thing that's like soft, but then it gets hard. You know, you put it in holes and cracks. It's really good in places that are wet.
God, that's disgusting.
When Blam could rip the chains off this whole time, then why was he still locked up?
Maybe he just wasn't able to break the chains, but then got an adrenaline rush when Jerry and Beth started arguing, which allowed him to do what he did. But even if I'm wrong, who the hell cares?
I laugh, but I'm biologically incapable.
But somehow capable of communicating clear words in dynamically expressive versions of just not able to ha-ha.
Yes, because that's what the episode tells us. Anyway, what was the sin here?
No more alien prisoners.
But aliens suspended in some sort of liquid chamber are okay? Is anyone going to address these?
Pointless nitpicking is pointless.
Emotionally relevant songs sincerely plays at the end of a Rick and Morty episode while also making fun of emotionally relevant songs that play at the end of TV shows. Cliché.
That's not a cliché, buddy.
I love you, you love me, we're a happy family.
Come on, man. Haven't we ever had an uncomfortable silence or an awkward fart on a road trip? Come on, Sylvester. Give me anything.
Rick, I'm Sylvester. Listen to that name. You can't kill me.
You're right. Kill Sylvester.
I wanted to thank you for letting me live here all this time, so I'm treating the family to a vacation.
Pro tip, vacation is not a treat if it's thrown on you at the last minute. People have to take off work, school, or find pet sitters. Last minute vacations are f***ing anxiety-filled balls of stress. There is nothing fun about them.
I agree with you 100%, but this specific vacation is not a last-minute thing. He's only telling them about it now. Also, are you unaware that this is an alien who's only pretending to be a human? Because you're sitting it as if it's an actual human making this mistake for real.
Get off the high road, Summer. We all got pink eye because you won't stop texting on the toilet.
Joe insinuates that there is a single human being on the planet who doesn't use their phone while busting grumpies. The pink eye is worth it and we all know it. So it's actually Rick that needs to get off his high horse, or high road, or whatever high he's on.
Yeah, okay. That's true. I'm okay with this sin. Take a sin off.
Having a slumber party style pillow fight in your day clothes.
So, TVSins clearly couldn't find enough actual sins in this episode to fill an entire video. So they just came up with dumbass sins like this to fill the runtime.
It's me, Cousin Nicky. I'm walking here. I mean, I'm not. I'm crouching the elevator shaft, but hey, I'm walking.
Still a better Dustin Hoffman impression than the one in Sphere.
Discount Jeremy makes a pop culture reference that isn't a sin of the episode cliche.
Also, Deus Ex Nihilo.
Mashing the words Machina and Nikki together to make the fake word Nikina is fucking stupid and not funny. If anything, it's just really obnoxious.
Nikki was the reason we found that old Nazi submarine. Did that not even happen?
You know, this episode is really just a clever excuse to do more interdimensional cable-type cutaways, which is strange, because they would do a literal sequel to that episode just 4 episodes after this one. I guess what I'm saying is it's pretty obvious that this episode is just another excuse to make up wild scenarios with no canonical consequence. And if someone who needs canonical consequence to do their job correctly, I find this annoying.
Literally 90% of Rick and Morty episodes have zero consequence in the overall plot, but you're complaining about this specific video just to get a fake sin out of it.
And Deus Ex Gardena? Is Ex Machina a requirement of adding new memories?
Could you please stop combining names with the word Machina? Because it's not funny and it's just really dumb. Also, I normally don't point this out, but I will in this video just because he does it so much. The TVSins writers really don't know what the term Ex Machina means, do they?
Thing I say watching This Is Us, or Arrow, or The Walking Dead, or pretty much every single show on television somehow makes its way into the script.
Discount Jeremy makes 3 pop culture references that are not sins of the episode cliché.
Our subsequent parasite's able to control everyone's mind, but Uncle Steve couldn't control Rick's.
I think you're missing the point. These parasites don't control your mind. They merely plant false memories in your brain to trick you. What I'm saying is that Rick was able to figure out the Uncle Steve thing, but nobody else was able to figure it out.
And finally, a raptor? Can the parasite specifically change the part of the memory that knows that even though raptor photographers are a thing, they shoot solely on digital? I'm having a blast here for sure, but I'm also having a hard time grasping how any of this works.
And I don't doubt that.
Here, Rick, use me.
Oh, thanks, Sylvester.
Let's just think about a sentient pencil who also functions as a working pencil for a second, because it's f***ing terrifying. What happens when the lead starts diminishing? What happens when it has to be sharpened?
These questions mean absolutely nothing to anybody. I mean, who seriously thinks this episode would be better if they interrupted it to explain how sentient pencils work?
Rick, that is my daughter.
Says the guy who just stated that except for Beth and Jerry,
all bets are off.
And that's an example of the parasite trying to prove that he's an actual human, because he's trying to save Summer's life, which he hopes is a move that will gain him some trust.
So I'm guessing every last one of these characters has its own fan wiki page. And what I'm saying is we should all find better ways to spend our time.
Sinning fandom about random Rick and Morty background characters is like sinning a bagel for being toasted.
Right back after these messages.
I don't hate a lot about Rick and Morty, but the blatant fourth wall breaks me angry. Probably because when you destroy that wall so casually and so completely, you destroy a show's ability for any part of the narrative to even matter. Ever. And I like things that occasionally matter.
And that's your big mistake. Rick and Morty does not matter most of the time, but there are episodes that handle the overarching plot and do matter.
Maybe we'll see Chewbacca.
I'm guessing not getting to see Chewbacca. Sleepy Gary is such a tease.
While I agree that seeing Chewbacca for real would be pretty cool, I think you knew what he meant.
Grass tastes bad.
Grass actually has a pretty neutral taste compared to the bitterness of most plants.
I mean, yeah, but he wasn't comparing it to anything else. He was just saying that as a blanket statement.
Morty, give it back to the lady that got pregnant with me too early and constantly makes it our problem.
This message about how our flaws are the things that make us human and connect us is actually really smart and sweet. And I'd like to take a sin off for Rick and Morty actually having some depth and meaning, but the show casually broke the fourth wall earlier, so my hands are tied.
What the fuck? The show delivers a great message, but since it broke the fourth wall earlier, the message doesn't count? How the fuck is that logical?
Oh man, okay, alright,
Oh yeah, you gotta get swifty. You gotta get swifty in here. It's time to get swifty.
Get swifty? What the hell is that?
It's our world's best effort, that's what.
Show opens up on Earth getting head.
Video opens up with Discount Jeremy saying boner.
Hi, I'm Morty's math teacher. I'm also part of the street team inviting folks to the church downtown so we can pray together.
How long ago did Mr. Potato Head in Space turn up? Have they really had time to organize a street team dedicated to inviting people to church?
I mean, is it really that unrealistic for people to have set up a vigil in a relatively short amount of time? It's not as if it would take that long.
Why is the math teacher not questioning the fact that Rick and Morty just flew away in a spaceship right in front of him?
When presented with evidence of people knowing about Rick's tech, presumably from having seen it before, Discount Jeremy gives a sin. However, he also gives out sins for the neighbors supposedly not seeing Rick's shenanigans. So which is it? Do people know about Rick's shit or not?
Have you tried sending in launch codes?
What? That's a terrible idea. Is General Warmonger suggesting they send nuclear launch codes to an obviously superior alien being with clearly questionable intent? Now, I'm sure his actual meaning here was to fire the missiles, but that is not what he said, people.
This is such a dumb sin, cause not only does he admit that he knows what this guy meant, but then he goes on to make an excuse for why it doesn't matter. And it's not funny or entertaining, it's just kinda stupid.
Mr. President, what America's got is 70,000 megatons of kaboom-boom.
I wanted to sin the fact that 70,000 megatons must be a colossal over-exaggeration of how many nuclear weapons America has. After a small amount of Googling, it turns out that is the generally accepted estimate of the size of our nuclear arsenal. And that is a sin.
No, it's not, you dumb pacifist. America.
This begs the question, why does Rick have a spaceship at all? Surely it's easier, safer, and quicker to just portal gun everywhere.
The portal gun has been shown to run on portal fluid, which is not unlimited. This is probably the reason why Rick sometimes uses his ship.
You double down and always hit on a soft 16.
I think hitting on soft 16s has landed the church in plenty enough hot water as it is, thank you very much. In case you confused it with Nevada Desert, the setting of that awful Dave Bautista zombie movie.
Discount Jeremy makes a pop culture reference that isn't a sin of the episode cliche.
Get swifty? What the hell is that?
It's our world's best effort, that's what.
How can that possibly be true? Okay, every artist at the Grammys was killed, but there are plenty of great artists that have never been nominated for a Grammy. What about the Kinks, the Strokes, the Spice Girls, the Talking Heads? The planet's about to be destroyed by a literal talking head. Your saviors are right there.
I mean, yeah, there's tons of artists who have never been to the Grammys who could be doing this, but the show is called Rick and Morty, not Planet Music. It's supposed to be about the title characters. I know it probably seems like I'm taking this too literally, but so is he.
I like what you got. Good job.
This song works?
Sinning Get Swifty.
24 hours, 5 planets, 5 songs. But in the end, there can only be one Planet Music.
Trashy reality TV set in space? This show sounds incredible. I can't wait to binge all 988 seasons.
What the fuck is this sin? I mean, if this show was real, I'd totally be watching it. I don't get why it's a sin.
Earlier, all Morty had to do was press a key and the keyboard automatically played a funky beat. Wouldn't his time be better spent cycling through the pre-programmed beats instead of trying to accidentally himself into a tune?
Or maybe he wants to make something original to give themselves a better shot at winning? Is Discount Jeremy encouraging unoriginal music?
You can put your faith in Nukes if we get through this, General. Until then, I'll put mine in Rick and Morty.
Usually, I would also be in favor of anything other than the nuclear option, but after having seen a good few of these episodes, the phrase, I put my faith in Rick and Morty, makes me lean towards the big red button as a safer option.
Discount Jeremy has the same mindset as this dumbass general. What does that tell you?
We should pack up and leave town now.
And go, where? Is it not clear by the floating heads in the sky that there's nowhere to just pack up and head to?
The editors conveniently spliced out the context for this sin. Beth and Jerry weren't saying that they should leave town because of the floating heads, but rather so that they can get away from the religious cult.
We hereby send these unwantables skyward that they might be inhaled by the many heads.
This is an entirely inefficient method of dealing with your unwantables. Do you know how many helium balloons it takes to lift your average person?
Discount Jeremy takes a cartoon at face value cliche.
Movie talker? Hey, wait. No, that's probably fair.
Discount Jeremy sins something he likes cliche.
What the f***? You can turn into ice? My story begins at the dawn of time in the faraway realm of Alpha Betrium.
23-minute TV show has time for this amount of ice position.
Sinning this joke is definitely worth a sin in and of itself.
I believe I can access the history of Rick's gun and help you get back to him.
Snooping through the browser history of someone else's electronic device. Not that you'd find anything in mine. Yep, no sir, not mine. Clean as a whistle.
Discount Jeremy is a kinky bitch when he watches porn.
Quit school, but you still got some learning to do.
Ill intentions, I'm in go mode, counting up the bozos. 16 bodies if I multiply the fofo. These hollow tips could put a hole up in the ozone. Shoot for the stars, and if I miss, I'm probably still gonna hit the goalpost. Labels tryna call, that's funny, I don't know y'all. Fuck all of that low ball money. Young and independent men, so bet that we don't owe nobody. Nothing ever needed, no GoFundMes.
Class dismissed.
Jeez, I can't believe we found a version of Earth with a Ball Fondlers movie franchise.
Even this early in the series, I find it impossible to believe that Morty could be surprised by much of anything they find, considering all the insane adventures they've been on to this point.
And right from the jump, Discount Jeremy is giving us a filler sin just so that he can smoothly transition into this video. Great.
They choose ball fondlers over French toast. I can't speak to either movie's quality, but I can attest to the fact that ball fondling is so much better after helping a French toast.
Unfunny joke is unfunny.
Wait! You can't leave me here!
To be fair, he can, but I'm not sure why he does. If Rick can bring Morty with him into the battery, I'm not sure why he couldn't bring Summer as well. In fact, Rick knows that Summer would be less of a buzzkill, so if anything, why isn't he leaving Morty in the car?
I mean, Morty is basically Rick's sidekick, and Summer only tags along with him occasionally, so it kind of makes sense that Rick would only bring Morty into the battery.
If Rick and the gang are in a different reality, who is Summer texting? Did we miss them getting an interdimensional cell phone plan added onto their interdimensional cable package?
Honestly, who gives a shit about this kind of stuff? Besides the fact that the answer is obvious, seeing as Rick is a mega genius and could have easily made some adjustments to their phones, nobody cares about these inconsequential details.
I know that the joke throughout this episode is that the ship follows Rick's instructions to the extreme, but why would Rick program it to start with murder as its first line of defense? Rick's an imaginative guy. What about electrifying the door or, I don't know, having the ship move itself away from the danger?
Because then we wouldn't have this B-plot and all the jokes that go along with it. Seriously, you're acting as if this comedic cartoon about a mad scientist doing crazy shit should be concerned with logic. Fuck off.
I put a spatially tessellated void inside a modified temporal field until a planet developed intelligent life.
By this point, I know the quest for any semblance of meaning or logic behind the science in Rick and Morty is a fruitlessly frustrating one. So, to that end, I'm going to save my sanity and time and leave this with a very simple and succinct, how the f*** can this possibly work?
So he basically admitted that it's pointless to try and find the logic in Rick and Morty, and yet he still sinned it? What the fuck?
It appears we are being revisited by the alien known as Rick, who once gave our world the gift of Googlebox technology.
Sinful news position is sinful and all that, but how is this news story already being broadcasted? Rick just got there, and they haven't actually seen him in person. How do they know someone else isn't flying the discount Borg cube?
It's actually kind of realistic that they would assume it's Rick flying the ship, seeing as they've never been visited by any other aliens before, and as for them being able to broadcast this story, it's probably airing live, genius.
Do they need to have one of these hooked up to every household appliance? And does that mean that the appliance only works while the stomping is in progress? Why don't they have a way of storing the energy they generate? Where the f*** do these cables go and why are they a different color? Why is Flubogorks?
Let me simplify all these questions with 3 very simple words. Nobody fucking cares.
Morty, you gotta flip him off. I told them it means peace among worlds. How hilarious is that?
As hilarious as this prank is, what's the point? It doesn't mean shit to these aliens because they have no context for the gesture's original meaning. And it's not like anyone is going to come visit the universe held inside Rick's ship battery just to appreciate this flipping off of an entire civilization consequence-free.
That's literally the fucking point, you absolute potato. They don't know the original meaning of the gesture, so they don't know that they're being flipped a bird. Do you think that they would need to be in on it for it to be a good prank? Cause that's dumb, seeing as the prank is on them.
I would love to see it.
F*** you.
What did you say to me?
F*** you. You told me it means much obliged.
How is much obliged a suitable response to Rick wanting to see this genius invention? Shouldn't he have said something like, happy to oblige?
I mean, he could have, but it wouldn't have made a difference. Seriously, why do you want to change all these trivial details? Do you hate good things? Oh, wait.
Would it be possible for us to get some kind of tour of your mini-verse from the inside?
Why bother with a tour? Just destroy the damn thing and make up some BS about why they're forbidden to create this technology again. He is a literal god to them.
And here you go, completely ignoring important details. The show has characterized Zeep as a very ignorant and self-believing guy, meaning that he would simply recreate his mini-verse if Rick were to destroy it.
This isn't a f***ing chocolate factory. I don't have time.
This comment doesn't necessarily mean that the Wonkaverse exists in this entirely unique and self-contained universe, but it does mean that chocolate exists, and as comforting as it is to discover that chocolate appears to be a multiversal constant, it really doesn't make a damn bit of sense. So, yes, I'm sinning chocolate.
Sinning chocolate?
Crank it! I told them this means peace among worlds.
But the gesture Zlip Zlop is making actually is the sign for peace, in our universe at least. So does that mean this two-finger gesture independently evolved to have the opposite meaning in this microverse culture, thus allowing him to comically assign it the inverse meaning in this miniverse, which has actually meant its reversion back to the original meaning as we know in our universe?
Yes.
Pterodactyl!
Asshole!
The only reason this exclamation should have scared Zlap Vanderflange is if he's aware of what a pterodactyl is, which means this place also evolved dinosaurs?
Dude, nobody gives a shit about these logic questions. This is Rick and Morty, not a TED Talk.
What are we going to do now?
Question from the writer's room when struggling with this very weak B story somehow make their way into the episode.
Hold up, did you just call this B story weak? That's worth a solid 50 sins, motherfucker.
Rick has form for using snakes in this way, so I'm prepared to reluctantly buy this element of his armory. However, the cream of this carefully crafted pie of bullshittery is that with this limited amount of storage space, Zulu Von Stick here chose to keep a f***ing eagle just in case of this very eventuality.
My guy, my genuine man, this is a fucking cartoon. You're not supposed to think about it, you're supposed to turn off your brain, eat your popcorn, and shut the fuck up.
Oh, hey, guys, I just finished cooking us a feast.
The f*** is there a kitchen in this lab for?
Cooking? Thank you, everybody. I'll be back next week.
A long time ago, I implanted you with a subdermal chip that could call upon dormant nanobots in your bloodstream to restructure your anatomy and turn you into a car.
Turning your grandson into a turbo teen without explicit consent.
The only reason this sin exists is because Discount Jeremy wanted to include this iconic line into his video. The actual sin part of it is bullshit.
Guys, what happens if the hood is locked?
It probably unlocks, 'cause, you know, technology.
The mortal shall soon. I'm sorry, what did you say his name was?
Coach Ferratu.
Coach Ferratu. That was his real name, like his actual vampire name?
No. His vampire name was Balak Alastane.
What the f would he name himself after a famous vampire movie? Was he doing a bit?
I do not know, Your Unholiness.
Jesus Christ, from now on, no more of this clever name bullshit. When a vampire is pretending to be a human, they can just call themselves Alan Jefferson or something like that.
Nice to see everyone's just sitting here patiently with their 2 eggs, 2 sausages, pancake, and I'm going to say rice, grits, cottage cheese. My point is, why is no one eating yet?
We see that Summer has her fork in her hand, so she's obviously about to eat something. Rick is drinking coffee, which means he's preoccupied. Jerry is doing something on his iPad, so he's covered. And Morty is talking with his fork in his hand, meaning that he's about to eat something when he's done speaking.
Rick and Morty episode fucks up standard breakfast operating procedure cliche. This time it's the case of the inappropriate bowl of cereal. Everyone knows that you eat cereal while the main breakfast is cooking.
That's not a cliche, buddy.
What is up with this balloon game that Jerry's playing? First I thought he was popping just the blue balloons, but then he pops a red one, and then I wondered why there's no score listed, so what's the point? But then I realized there are apps where you just pop fake bubble wrap like this, so now the sin's for app culture and bleeding my bank account dry 99 cents at a time.
So he sins something even though he admits it's realistic? That's dumb.
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
To a conversation about vampires?
In fairness to Jerry, vampires are one of the least interesting conversation topics to happen around this breakfast table. So, not sure why everyone's so worked up about it.
Pointless nitpicking is pointless.
We tried a couples therapist.
That's Earth therapy. You might as well ask a horse to fix a merry-go-round.
It may not be perfect and may take a lot of work, but strangely enough, Earth therapy is the only therapy most people on Earth have access to.
So he's sinning the fact that Rick is criticizing Earth therapy because people on Earth don't have access to it? Do you see why that's stupid?
Also, does he mean an actual horse? Or one of the horses on the merry-go-round itself? I suppose one is as ridiculous as the other, but both prove the point he's trying to make. But this is an oddly specific example of futility, and sometimes I just want to know where this comes from.
What the hell? He admits that both meanings work, but then still sins it. You can't make this shit up.
I booked you for a 2-day intensive at Nuptia 4, the galaxy's most successful couples counseling institute.
This place has a 100% success rate at fixing marriages and is open to the entire galaxy. But somehow Rick was able to book them in with 0 notice.
Like the episode states, this is an alien therapy program, meaning that it probably has more employees and better availability than Earth therapy would.
My shoe fits up your ass.
You wish.
That fake-ass laugh.
Character closes a door and is scared by a younger asshole clone of their grandfather standing behind it. Cliché.
Yeah, that's a pretty egregious misuse of the term cliché.
The next step is to watch your mythologues interact together. And big surprise, it's never pretty.
Is a battle between the physical manifestations of your deepest and most uncensored thoughts about your significant other really the sort of thing that should be aired in front of complete strangers? In what way is that therapeutic for anybody?
I don't know. Nobody really knows. But what I do know is that this is a cartoon about alien marriage counseling, so stop trying to make sense of it.
We can work together.
Smearing your arm oil on your worm husband. Honestly, guys, have you ever tried to sin this show?
He basically just admitted that he doesn't know how to sin this amazing show. I mean, at least he's self-aware.
Modesty hands.
Discount Jeremy wants to see some Rick dick.
Also, this works. Seriously, was the wall matching color of this giant f***ing gloop ball really enough to hide it?
He asks if the camouflage was enough to hide the mythologue while showing a scene of said mythologue successfully hiding. Therefore, the answer is yes.
Is anybody listening? Can anyone understand? Stop looking at me like that and actually help me.
Rhyming understand with help me.
Hey, that's one of my recurring sins in my music video sin series. You can't just steal ideas from me. It's not like I would ever do that. I mean, at least I'm self-aware.
Surely a race this advanced has the ability to present these murderous marital monstrosities as harmless holograms. They'd still be able to observe how they interact without the risk of all this maiming. Then again, I suppose that'd mean this B-plot would actually end up being about the complexities of dealing with long-term relationships. And then we'd be in danger of actually learning something. Mark that noise. Continue the smashing and slicing.
Exactly. This is a comedy, not a drama. Stop acting like you actually want there to be a lesson.
What the hell kind of relationship do you have?
I mean, you just screamed.
They're codependent!
So, are you being rhetorical here? Has your universally lauded marriage counseling service never dealt with codependency?
That's the joke.
Earlier, these creatures called our planet Earth, as if they didn't know how to pronounce Earth. But the entire map is in English. Make up your mind, ridiculous animated comedy show.
The ridiculous animated comedy show doesn't have to make up its mind because it's a ridiculous animated comedy show.
If you can find one too, we should be safe for hours, maybe days.
There is so much room in this panel for both of them that even Jack and Rose are scoffing at Jerry right now.
Yeah, but Jerry is an idiot, so there's really no need for you to be acting as if he should be thinking this through.
Tiny Rick!
This episode says Tiny Rick more than the Pickle Rick episode says Pickle Rick. I feel like the writers may be overcompensating for something here. Tiny, pickle.
Says you. You've got 2 inches max.
Stacking your cups this high is just asking for some asshole kid to accidentally knock them over as a distraction to put some special ingredient in the punch bowl. Shorter cup stacks are the road to true sobriety, friends.
Discount Jeremy supports sobriety. Also, pointless nitpicking is pointless.
Let me out! Let me out! This is not a dance!
This sin goes out to the Rick and Morty fan who rocked this dance at his local club, thinking everyone would think it was hilarious, forgetting that Rick and Morty Uber fans are a much smaller subset of humanity than you might think, and was mocked and embarrassed and could never show his face again in Alan's anticipation station, and it's me.
That was cringy. And not very funny.
You're a great student. The fact that you're an 80-year-old man in a clone body never bothered me.
But it really should. Why is everyone even aware of this, let alone okay with it? And how has Rick managed to prove himself as a great student? He's only been there since this morning, and I don't think he's even been to any classes. And if he has, why? He's meant to be hunting vampires. How can one sentence contain so much sin?
Jesus Christ, you've already sinned plenty of other episodes, so you already know that Principal Vagina is, a strange character to say the least, so I really don't know why you're sinning this. And besides, all of this is said as a joke. Stop taking shit too seriously.
I'm here to save you, or my name isn't Jerry Smith!
Aha! Yes, Jerry Smith!
Yeah, no show has a right to be this funny and genuinely insightful at the same time. It's just not fair to the other shows. And yes, that means I'm giving this show a sin because other shows can't match it. But don't look at me that way. You knew which channel you clicked on, honey.
That fake-ass laugh. Also, Discount Jeremy sins something he likes cliche.
I like to believe that Hugh Jackman's character from The Prestige survived, found some youth juice, and eventually became his character in Reminiscence, and that this machine is the twisted result of a merger of both of his infamous inventions.
Discount Jeremy makes 2 Hugh Jackman pop culture references that aren't sins of the episode cliche.
Rick comes out of the vat and Marty says, Rick, while Summer says, pants! And while I don't blame Summer for her cultural norm views on nude body boundaries regarding grandparents, I will say it's weird that you chose this moment to be all of a sudden so grossed out when his tiny Rick has been in clear view the whole episode.
But his hand was blocking his twig and berries earlier, as you yourself pointed out, so this sin is dumb because of your lack of consistency.
Why go through all of the effort of strategically covering the Rick if you're just going to blur it anyway now? Is there a set budget of blurs per episode?
Oh, so you do remember that earlier sin. Funny that you still let the previous one slide then.
I feel like my cervix hurts.
I feel pride.
Don't worry about Jerry.
Jesus, that door opened hella fast. How many broken noses have these doors caused? And how many people have been sent to the hospital while in this hospital?
Everything wrong with interdimensional cable 2, ladies and gentlemen. The doors in a hospital open fast.
It'll stain if it gets on your clothes, and it'll send you into a murderous rage if it gets in your eyes or mouth.
Seems like this hospital would be doing everything it could to make sure Jerry couldn't projectile vomit that stuff on anybody. Or, at the very least, make sure anyone nearby was protected from him.
What do you suggest? The episode is making it clear that they're simply trying to get Jerry into a room as fast as possible, and they don't have any real way of preventing him from vomiting right now.
Hello, I'm Dr. Glipglop.
If Jerry is affected by the same mutant bacteria, why didn't he get sent into a murderous rage? And maybe Rick did something to Jerry where he didn't have to kill him, but why didn't he do the same for the doctor? Is it because hilarity?
Maybe it's because the original carrier of the bacteria doesn't suffer the same effects as all the subsequent carriers. That was an easy explanation.
What are you doing?
A sequel.
I Don't understand.
Yeah, me neither. We pretty much nailed it the first time.
Acknowledging your premise is likely not going to be very good, so you can lower people's expectations and people can forget about the usual high quality of your work cliche.
That's not a cliche, dude. Just because you want it to be, doesn't mean it is.
Man versus car. So every single one of these shows will be random and stupid in the hope of generating roughly the same number of laughs as the last time they did this, but they went with randomer and stupider for this one. I hope that when you told your friends about Rick and Morty, this wasn't the first episode you showed them.
Contrary to what he's saying, this episode actually has a very similar appeal to the first one for most people. What I'm saying is that he's claiming this episode is a major downgrade in quality from the first time they did it, but the majority of people don't dislike it that much.
I'm looking through your eye holes. Yes, look through my eye holes.
My boner is confused.
Jeremy says boner.
Also, we're about to find out that these eye holes are a breakfast cereal. Who the puts their cereal on their faces and has weird foreplay like this? Or is this the species where eye holes come from? This is an improvisational pretzel you're guiding me through.
The eye holes come from that species, as you just said. What's the problem with that? Seriously, in a show where there are literally infinite universes, why is this one strange cereal a sin?
Is that rope made of metal or is the skylight glass really thin? How the did that break the glass?
Because the cable is made of metal and the bottom of it was coiled. Next question.
I'm the only one that's allowed to have eye holes.
Right after this, Rick will say that this guy actually beats you up if you possess eye holes. So I have a lot of questions.
The next three sins are nothing short of pointless questions that don't matter and are really stupid, seeing as they are searching for logic in a show that's not supposed to be logical.
Shrimply Pibble's life can be saved if we replace his heart with your human penis.
After the scenario was revealed, a writer for House woke up in a cold sweat and yelled, "Why didn't we think of that?"
Jeremy makes a pop culture reference that isn't a sin of the episode cliche.
Also, while I'm listening to something hilarious, look at those fly wings. How are they on the outside of the lab jacket?
Because there must be holes in the jacket for this exact purpose? Obviously.
Beth and Summer are cruising their smartphones from an intergalactic hospital, and I'm wondering how any of that works. Does the alien hospital have Wi-Fi that connects to different planet technology? Are there satellites that transmit all the way back to Earth while Summer texts?
I love how you pose a question and then give reasons why that question might not actually be a sin. You admitted that the hospital might have advanced enough tech to connect Summer's Earth phone to a form of Wi-Fi, so why are you still giving a sin for this?
How did I get here? It's that lady with the on her face like Worf from Star Trek that was getting coffee. How did she get there?
It is. It's the same woman. Infinite channels, infinite possibilities, but sure, why not have something happen to her on TV immediately after Morty noticed her?
Because having the same woman Morty notice creates a more intriguing phenomenon. Jeremy would suck at making television.
We need one Jan Michael Vincent to Quadrant C. We need two Jan Michael Vincents to Quadrant E.
Seems the main problem this world is having is that there are only 8 Jan Michael Vincents and 16 quadrants. The Jan Michael Vincent factory wouldn't send 2 Jan Michael Vincents to 1 quadrant. I'm clearly sending the fake movie and not Rick and Morty here, but where else am I going to put this sin?
So he admits that these sins are full of shit, but still continues giving them? That's full of shit.
Show where somebody steals stuff must be a sham because that camera didn't follow Steely through the door. It panned over through this huge opening on the left side of this guy's office. So either this is a studio or Steely went through an unnecessary door.
This sin is priceless. Jeremy says that this reality show might actually be staged because of the studio-like setup, but then gives a sin for that. How does he not realize that Rick and Morty is making fun of real-life reality television by mocking the obvious staging?
All right, okay, now we're in the quiet, safe room, where none of the people whose stuff I stole can get to us.
Yeah, but you literally stole a person you stole from. So where did you put that guy? Is he tied up somewhere in your house? What was the point of stealing him?
Jesus Christ. He admits that the guy might be tied up, but still gives a sin for the questions that resulted in that answer. As for the point of stealing the guy, it's for TV, dude. They do weird and crazy shit to get viewers.
Does the doctor have a framed picture of the anatomy of a human penis? Does the image change based on whatever he's researching, or is he just obsessed with all things?
It could be either of those options you gave, so thank you for disproving your own point yet again. It's like talking to a creationist.
We get a 1 personal space, 2 personal space.
This guy has 4 slides that simply say personal space. The other 5 slides, at the very least, say what you're supposed to do with his personal space, which is to stay away from it. I know this might be the point, but I find it hard to believe any dimension finds this entertaining. Also, this alien in the background is loving this countdown of personal space slides, and their enthusiasm is infectious, but it took them 7 slides to start getting into it, which I'm guessing is how long it took the animators to get into it.
Did you hear him say that he finds it hard to believe that anyone would find the show entertaining, but then in the very next scene he points out the alien who is clearly very entertained by said show? You can't make this shit up.
If they measure the size of this alien splatter on the wall, then why is there a need for judges?
That's the point. We don't know. Sure, they're measuring the splatter, but there could also be other factors. The fact that we don't know how it works is part of the appeal.
Enough to pay for a brand new, state-of-the-art synthetic heart that will be even better than Mr. Smith's pathetic penis.
Wait, that was an option the whole time?
Yep, the A story? B story? I don't know what the f it is. It's even more pointless than the interdimensional cable shows.
Almost everything in this show is pointless, dude. It's Rick and Morty, not some kind of super serious drama.
Whoa, wait a second. Is that Medea in a Duck Dynasty show? I can't decide if I want to remove a sin or...
He goes on to add a sin before even finishing this sentence, so Jeremy sins something he likes, cliche.
Oh my god!
I'm a good person!
With a plan to what exactly? Stick your penis in the open cavity of a patient during surgery? How is this proving Jerry is a good person? I know he's an idiot, but is he this much of an idiot?
Yes, because the episode is showing us that he is, meaning he is.
You were shot like 50 times.
57. Thankfully, you're in a super sophisticated alien hospital, so it was basically like getting a splinter removed.
But replacing a penis-like structure for shrimply pibbles was too difficult for this hospital.
No, it wasn't too difficult. You know, because they were able to do it.
I mean, seriously, how do eye holes make any money? And this asshole traveled from another dimension to stop Jerry from eating them.
It comes as no surprise that the final sin in this video is yet another example of Jeremy trying to apply real-life logic to Rick and Morty. Stop doing that.
Don't you mouth off to me or I'm gonna slap you right in your penis.
Morty, time to purge.
The day that I make a song that they like, I know I fucked up. Why? Cause haters love the fucking shit, that's the only way that they fly. Fans of mine know I like to stir the pot a couple times before I dine, so I let them simmer and sizzle to brine, cause they salty. Enemies of mine are quite numerous. They try to stop me, but I push through pussies like a uterus. They losing it.
That Rick! We gotta kill her! Kill her!
Whoa.
Kill her! Jeez, Morty, purge it down a little. Purge? Don't purge! You're sending me mixed messages, Rick! Morty, you're acting like a frickin' lunatic. Calm down. Screw you, Rick! I'll purge you too, you old rickety piece of crap! This has been a long time coming! I'm gonna rip your guts out and smear them all over your face! I ain't taking no shit! Okay, sorry about that.
I gotta tell you, Rick, it's pretty great to be in this spaceship, just the two of us, you know?
Mentioning a Grover Washington classic and not breaking out into song immediately after. Just the two of us. We can sin it if we try. Just the two of us. Myself and I.
Discount Jeremy makes a pop culture reference that isn't a sin of the episode cliche. Also, Discount Jeremy tries to sing in a video cliche.
Relax, that's what windshields are for.
Once you break through Earth's atmosphere, shouldn't it be called a vacuum shield? I love doing space sins because it's the surest way to make sure I'm wrong about something no matter how long I research it.
Pointless nitpicking is pointless.
Also, in this case, vacuum shields are also for keeping breathable atmosphere inside your vehicle. In fact, I'd say that's probably enough of the primary purpose that this plot catalyst bug protection is nothing more than a side benefit.
But if it's also a benefit, wouldn't that mean Rick is technically correct, seeing as it is one of the things that the windshield is for?
I didn't know that there were bugs out in space.
Doubling down on the space sins, would a bug in space have those kind of wings? What do they even flap against? This space bug is a lie.
It's entirely possible that this type of bug lives on a planet or another celestial body and just has the ability to travel in space, making the wings necessary for flying within the home planet's atmosphere. My point is that we don't know why it needs these wings, but there are a million possible answers that invalidate this sin.
Yeah, I guess I'm out of fluid.
That would immediately freeze, or float away, or something unrelated to what it would be intended for. Space!
I'm about to give a super complicated and far-fetched explanation for why this sin is dumb. Ready? Maybe Rick, the super genius who can invent literally anything, thought of a way to prevent wiper fluid from freezing or floating away in space. Like, oh, I don't know, some kind of special compartment in his ship that holds the liquid and keeps it warm. I know it's a completely unrealistic explanation, but I had to try, right?
For millennia, our society has been free of crime and war, living in perfect peace.
Oh, I know what this is!
Interrupting someone in the middle of their story or explanation.
Pointing things out on the screen.
One night a year where you all run around robbing and murdering each other without consequence.
Thinking legal ramifications are the only things that fall into the category of consequences.
Now, Aaron, if you were actually to think about your sins for more than a split second, you would understand that Rick was only referring to legal consequences because of the context of their conversation.
You know, sometimes it's called the cleansing or the red time.
So on the planet where it's called the red time, does it happen monthly instead of annually? Because I think you may have misunderstood.
Did he just make a period joke? I honestly can't decide if I want to add or remove a sin for that. You know what? I'm gonna call it even. No adding and no removing. The counter stays the same.
Hey Justin, I'm getting ready to design a creature that'll only be on the show for a few seconds. What do you think? Does it have two phallic appendages on its face? Yep. Between them, does the mouth look vaguely vulvish? You know it! A couple udder boobs? Way ahead of you. Maybe a brown animated blob by the butt so you can't tell if the animal has a tail or if it's mid-poop. Dan, you're a genius.
I love how every single thing he just pointed out was a background joke, and he acts as if they're sins when they're really just fun details you wouldn't notice if you didn't look closely.
Why don't you have some candy bars as well?
Aliens not only speak perfect English, but can also sell Earth items such as wiper fluid and candy bars.
Discount Jeremy tries to apply logic to a cartoon ex machina.
Planet is the worst. How can you be into this?
Seriously, after almost 2 seasons of these shenanigans, how is Morty surprised by anything at this point? Why his reaction?
And now we've come to the obligatory part of the video where Discount Jeremy claims that Morty shouldn't get surprised by new things. In this case, it's even dumber than normal, seeing as the thing Morty is against is a literal purge where a bunch of people murder each other.
Leave you alone? During a purge? I don't think so, baby.
Explaining you're unable to stop purging as you stop purging to explain about being unable to stop purging.
Maybe this sin was meant as a joke? I honestly can't tell because most of his jokes aren't funny. But either way, this sin is dumb because they aren't stopping. They're just taking a quick second to explain why they won't stop. And if you think I'm being overly nitpicky, just remember, he's sinning an episode of Rick and Morty, damn it.
What part of that gives me anything to work with? My choice is to say nothing, be sarcastic, or bark yes like a trained animal.
You forgot the fourth option. Explain the situation meta-contextually in order to launch a B-plot no one will ever remember when thinking of this episode. You know, like a typical teenager.
Sinning meta-jokes. That's worth this many sins.
I don't want to answer any more purge questions.
That's funny. I heard Ethan Hawke say this exact sentence at a Boyhood press conference in 2014. Can you imagine being the doofus that asked Ethan Hawke a second question about the purge when he's there for a Linklater movie?
Sinning something that has absolutely nothing to do with the episode at hand? That's worth this many sins.
You just now remembered your Nana exists.
Rick calls Arthrisha out on her bullshit, but still follows her into the house, which is clearly a trap to get his gun and steal his ship.
If you would actually pay attention, you would have realized that Arthrisha tells Rick she was about to get raped and was therefore traumatized and not thinking clearly, which he reasonably believes, seeing as it makes sense.
Heads up, rapists.
Assuming the criminal intent of purgers.
Assuming the right to point things out on the screen.
Purge them. Me? No, me. Should I rub my liver hole on them?
That fake-ass laugh.
I only had one of those things I threw. I'm holding a box of Tic Tacs right now.
Saying this out loud, while within close range of your adversaries.
But the show is obviously making it clear to us that they aren't quite close enough to hear him, meaning this sin is moot.
It's the space phone Grandpa gave us.
Keeping the space phone your grandpa gave you underneath the couch cushions. How is that helpful, Summer? F***ing Summer.
So you're sinning a character for doing something that's completely within her character? That's stupid.
By the way, life on other planets exists. Don't let it distract you.
Oh, don't worry. No one here seems fazed by your alien existence unless it's needed for the plot or a joke. And I don't sense either of those things present here.
Discount Jeremy tries to apply logic to a cartoon ex machina.
Fade in. Exterior. Unnamed city. Day.
Reading. Also forcing someone to listen to you reading your screenplay.
Pointing things out on the screenplay. I mean the screen.
You're a petty person and you're insecure, and you're taking it out of me. That's a good script.
I'm not sure how the writers of Rick and Morty hacked my email, but at least they got some benefit from my feedback from the studio's folder.
Unfunny joke is unfunny.
You like that? You want me to cut to 3 weeks earlier when you were alive?
This show is just the best.
That fake-ass laugh.
Honestly, I've had my fill. It's gratuitous at this point.
Rick admits the fault of the show before doubling down and partaking even further in that fault anyway.
That's the joke.
Coordinated blood dancing.
Discount Jeremy points things out on the screen cliche.
Feels good! It's a f***ing hit song! Top the charts, I think!
Explaining your references. You picked the wrong man to push movie.
Coming from the people who make a million obscure pop culture references in every single video? That seems a little hypocritical, don't you think?
I need food. Who's got food for that guy?
I do, but this is for me.
This socio-political commentate's on for some time.
Discount Jeremy has the attention span of a toddler with ADHD cliche.
Jerry, get a job.
Okay, fine. 2 minutes and 44 seconds. I'm just saying if this entire B-plot was built on the Taddy Madison scale, you'd only owe $5.47.
You guys heard that, right? He was making a reference to a joke from earlier in the episode about Taddy Mason, but he accidentally said Taddy Madison instead. Could you really not re-record that line? Would that really be too much to ask for?
Any man dies with a clean sword, I'll rape his fucking corpse!
Tammy, what are you doing?
Sit your bird ass down.
Tammy?
make room for the king of the jungle. I was taking the game out of when it's to crumble. That was different, it got me livid. I'm itching to rumble, and I won't quit till all of you bitches are humbled. Better come with a next level approach, cause you know I never settle my vendettas alone. I'm just better than most, the best ever to gold. If I'm truly being honest, the rest never were close. They can tell that I come with the ambition for turning a rap dream right into a damn living. Advanced writtens, I gotta be leaving the fans tripping. I be giving all the business right down to my last minute. Hope y'all mad that you running a rap race, stuck in the past, fucking with a couple of classmates, pumping the grass, but ain't got enough in the gas tank. Struggle for cash while I fucking double my fan base.
The trick to cereal is keeping 70% of it above the milk.
This blanket statement presumes that all cereal has the same absorption rate. 70% may make sense for Corn Flakes or Cheerios, but you definitely want to land somewhere between 50 to 60% for Fruit Loops or Cocoa Puffs. And God forbid you veer into shredded wheat territory and end up with one of those big old Ted Lasso biscuits. You're going to want to let that thing soak for 5 days minimum, maybe in a mixture of equal parts vinegar and dish soap, after which you toss that shit in the trash and figure out what you're doing with your life.
This entire sin is nothing short of annoying and nitpicky. Besides, this is Jerry we're talking about, dude. He's an idiot.
It's like the intergalactic version of UPS, but less off-putting.
Throwing shade at UPS and pretending like FedEx and Amazon also haven't been leaving packages at the end of my driveway and outside of the fence.
What? Why is any of this a sin? Rick throws some shade at UPS, but since he didn't mention Amazon or FedEx, he gives a sin because he thinks Rick is ignoring their existence, I guess? This is stupid on many levels.
Our TV signals take light years to reach his planet. Nobody tell him that Braveheart wins.
First off, a light year is a measure of distance, not time.
Obviously, Rick was referring to the distance of the planet, but said it this way because he was also referring to the amount of time it would take to get there as a result of that distance.
What the hell is a bird person?
He's Rick's best friend.
Jerry said what, not who. And even then, bird person is much more than just Rick's best friend. He's so many things.
Jesus Christ. None of this is a sin at all. Jerry asks what bird person is, and Morty answers with what he knows, that Rick's best friend is bird person. That's not a sin. And then the second part about bird person being so many things was weird and not funny. So that's dumb too.
Weddings are basically funerals with cake.
Cute marriage equals death cliche, but if that were true, then funerals with cake would have to basically be weddings, and speaking from experience, I can tell you they are not.
That's not a cliche, my dude. Get a dictionary.
You just say what's in your squanch, and people understand.
Oh, okay.
Skip.
Maybe it's possible that Rick and family beat Jerry here, but I have no way to prove it either way, so I'm going to send it to be safe. And because I'm an asshole.
Admitting you're an asshole doesn't excuse you for being an asshole. Or for being stupid, cause that sin was remarkably dumb. You admit that it's possible for the family to have beaten Jerry to the wedding, but you sin the episode for not going out of its way to show us that? See? He's being stupid.
You say you get it, but I'm scared you'll keep doing it.
Title of my sex tape?
Discount Jeremy makes a cringy sex joke that isn't funny cliche.
Look, here's some humans you can practice on.
Title of the sequel to my sex tape?
I'll kindly refer you to the previous sin.
Blood Ridge on Glapflap's third moon.
Show uses a variation of the word flap cliche.
And you're still not using that term correctly, G.
Bird person, you are my seed, my worm, my earliness.
Surely one cannot be both the seed and the worm. Plus, lateness is generally more common when the first two come into play.
Jesus Christ. Pointless nitpicking is pointless.
Pulling out someone's innards, even jokingly.
Pointing things out on the screen, even stupidly. Well, actually, especially stupidly.
I am a cyborg photographer. Just act natural. This is a candid shot.
I'm not sure if the cyborg gaze is problematic or not, but until I can collect more data, I'm going to assume it's a precursor to Terminator Salvation.
Discount Jeremy makes a Terminator pop culture reference that isn't a sin of the episode cliche.
Writers didn't save this joke for its Rick Sanchez in the Temple of Squanch episode. Also, they really turned this joke on its head.
I let two sins play there to give you a little taste of back-to-back jokes that completely flopped. Seriously, did anyone actually find those funny?
Being nice is something stupid people do to hedge their bets.
You know, as funny as it is, this is the kind of shit that serves as a driving force behind the show's toxic fandom.
Discount Jeremy sins something he likes cliche.
Bird murder. Birder?
Discount Jeremy points things out on the screen cliche.
The laser fire from these blasters killed Bird Person, but barely leaves a scratch on what we can assume from the instrument and location are referred to as baseballs?
So, Aaron, when we're at an alien wedding with a ton of unknown objects and species, we see lasers being blocked by one of the many unknown objects. Since we know nothing about the object, it's safe to say that what the show tells us, in this case that the balls are laserproof, is true about said object. Therefore, why are you sinning this?
This catering space van has super convenient worm-based countermeasures.
Convenient? Are you sure about that? Do you know what that word means? The van was a food truck, and since Bird Person was the one who had it come to his wedding, it makes sense that it would have worms. You know, 'cause he's half bird.
So the Smiths are super lucky the Galactic Federation hasn't realized the benefits of spaceships that don't immediately explode when they slightly bump into each other. When they develop that technology, Rick will really have to pull some signs out of his ass.
Discount Jeremy tries to apply logic to a cartoon ex machina.
You, Summer.
Saying f you to your granddaughter. Well, at least in this case.
You can't say F you to your granddaughter?
We already covered this, Morty. Say you don't watch TVSins without saying you don't watch TVSins.
This is a perfect example of the TVSins writers using a scene to inflate the amount of sins in their video for the sole purpose of making said video longer. Notice how he could have just said Morty would be excellent at TVSins after he delivered his line, but instead they forced 2 sins here. Gotta get them watch time minutes, I guess.
If the Smiths think a star screaming for 42 hours is the worst of it, wait till they see its coronal mass ejections after eating a space burrito.
Was that a poop joke? From the people who always sin poop jokes? That's hypocritical.
Maybe I can buy that the space fan had a TV handy and that Rick had some sort of interdimensional cable thumb drive with him or something. I mean, I don't want to buy it, but I'm going to try to get past it. However, I do not buy that they build a f***ing log cabin in this short amount of time. Also, I've decided I can't get past the working TV and cable signal thing. So...
Yet again, he gives an explanation for why something is not a sin, but then sins it anyway. Also, Discount Jeremy tries to apply logic to a cartoon ex machina.
We discovered a species of tiny pig off the coast of New Australia.
We'd offer you some, but we hunted it to extinction for breakfast.
I know the whole joke is that living on this tiny planet is clearly not sustainable. However, the idea that not only Rick, the smartest man in the universe, but the entire family, excluding Jerry of course, wouldn't have foreseen this food shortage as a problem is pretty laughable, especially when you consider that later in the show Rick casually goes to a bar before turning himself in. Surely they could whip up some disguises to pick up groceries at the nearest intergalactic grocery store.
Hold up. He started the sin by complaining about how Rick didn't foresee Tiny Planet not being sustainable, but now he's suggesting they simply go to the store based on how Rick goes to a bar later? Do you see what happened there? Obviously, that was what Rick was planning on doing, but ended up cutting their stay on Tiny Planet short by turning himself in.
Morty effortlessly sending this frisbee around the entire planet raises multiple questions about the gravity here and how they're able to walk around like normal. Alright. Just the one question, I guess.
Discount Jeremy tries to apply logic to, you know what, screw this. You already know what this sin is for.
Galactic Federation.
I feel better.
Show expects us to believe that medicine works this quickly. And as someone who's sitting here an hour later waiting for his edible to kick in, I'm calling bullshit. And this unicorn that's been hanging out with me for the last hour totally agrees.
Alright, cool joke. It wasn't as bad as your typical jokes, but I've still got to point out the fact that this medicine is from a super advanced race of aliens. It's not a real life medicine.
What are you in for?
Everything.
I really hate cliffhangers like this. If you're going to put a character's fate in jeopardy, at least make it someone that we might believe will be stuck in this prison or killed. We know Rick won't be killed, and we know Rick won't spend the rest of the series in prison. This cliffhanger is all kinds of squanch.
You're absolutely correct that we know Rick won't die, but death isn't the only thing that can create suspense. You don't yet know how Rick will escape or where the story will go from here. This ending is still great.
But at least you have people to want to come and visit you. My family hasn't been to see me since my trial. You eat 9 people and all of a sudden they don't know who you are anymore.
How long have you been teaching golf?
Ever since I retired from being an astronaut. It's nice to see some heavenly bodies around here, too.
Hey, Grandpa, do you think we should probably start golfing? What the fuck?
Want to be a lamb and get that for me?